Good evening. It's Ray, and I'm here with Ben. And I think we're Northern Offensive because we always have an opinion. And we're from the Great White North of Canada, and we're here to discuss the 2024 Trident Realm changes that have just dropped as of April 1st. Ben, you appreciated this April Fool's joke by Mantic, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that was. Let's just say I would have taken it a little too far if I get to blindfold somebody. I'm called the Dude Hunter for a reason.
Well, I Trident Realms. It was funny because both you and I have used it as our third army, and
Yeah,
we both used Trident Realms to some success. Maybe not like Luke level success out in the Pacific Northwest, but if
I mean, how can you be as good as somebody that is, with all kidding aside, I, being able to watch that guy do a bunch of stuff on Victoria Wargaming. It seemed like every time he came out with an army, I was very close and doing the exact same thing. So I appreciate everything he's put into this as well. And winning Masters is no small feat. So
no, but it, they came out with some changes, and I'm not necessarily certain that you and I have different thoughts as to how we've seen the changes. So I think we might as well go through them.
yeah, there might be a little good cop.
Bad cop.
English is always bad. So
So
should we should we disclaimer ahead of this that none of this is a reflection on the RC? I know I've
well,
said this to
and
you.
I was one of the playtesters on this, so you're allowed to make fun of me for that comment. So I am
So you're an engineer and a playtester. My God, man! Like what
lots
the
of reasons
hell?
to hate me. Yeah, like
You're going for the trifecta.
having played Trident Realms, I was keen to give my thoughts on this. Obviously, I was just one of many, and all the thoughts got put together. So I expressed some differences of opinion than what has eventually resulted. But like you said, everyone's trying to make a good game. Everyone's trying to do something, and I think this is a an army which Mantic wants to do well because it's one of their very unique IPs, if I could
Yeah,
say that.
I
Um,
I absolutely love the army. I've played it for long enough. I've put probably a couple of hundred games in with playing Trident Realms. I absolutely like the way they play. And now I'm going to slag off all over them because that's what I do. That's kind of my thing. So
well, they do have new models, which, like you talked about, we're going to buy some of them,
yep,
including like the Mega Army looks better, the Ambush Box looks good, the
yep,
River Guard in plastic are so much better than the metal. I have 40 metal ones that may be retired at some point.
yeah. I am. I really do like the way. And we were just talking about this. The fact that the Worm Riders were in the vault is a big plus. Now
I
I
can
can't
make them
red talk anybody.
won't weigh a ton.
You can make a thinner display board. It'll be great. You don't have
Yeah,
to worry about leaving that thing in the center of the table.
no, crushing the table. I'm not sure about the Coral Giant.
I've been kind of 50-50 on it. I've actually always thought about, well, I've got a giant snail because, why wouldn't you have SpongeBob snail as your giant? Um, but
I've heard good things from the people I've seen it in person, so I'm going to reserve judgment. I'll probably
yeah,
buy one because I don't have one. And I have three Krakens that I don't use and I'd like to use, and these rules probably will not cause me to bring them out. So
we'll get to that.
we'll get into that. So speaking of new rules,
Hey, hey.
these are the existing units with rules changes.
Yep. So Poison Frog, we definitely have to go over the fact that we can now actually use it in like more than 2 units has been absolutely fantastic. 5 points for any one-time brutal. I'll take that all day. I think it's great. I think it's great on all the units that they put it on. I'm glad they left it off some units because it didn't. It would have made them a little bit too good, if you ask me. But
So, which unit are you most excited to see it on?
depth horrors, absolutely depth horrors. Like, unfortunately, we'll get it. We'll get into it. But the Thule, the fact that they've got it, it's great on them. But with their lack of Pathfinder now, like I said, we will get into all of that. But the lack of Pathfinder now, I just think that the Fury, the ability to get into something, the depth horrors themselves, I think will take a lot. I'm not taking anything away from the Thule having that ability. I mean, still stealth, still charging 15, 16 inches away. Like these things they'll get you, and that one extra pip that can mean the difference between breaking a unit and not breaking a unit.
For me, it's the Ocean Worm Riders, because before I used one of the two had speed, because I wanted speed 9 Ocean Worm Riders, and the other one had the brutal because I always needed that extra attack in combat. So being able to give speed plus brutal on the Ocean Worm Riders is huge for me. The Thule is the other one where I'm happy to see it. But I think it may be time to switch from Thule over to Depth Horrors just because of the changes we'll get to. The only thing I wasn't keen on was the Horde tax. I don't know why the only unit that has the Horde tax is Naiad and Snarers, where it's 10 points for the Poison Frogs on a Horde of Naiad and Snarers. So I don't think you'll ever see it on them.
Well, considering that it's also not on any other option that has a Horde, on top of the fact that they're ensnarers. Like if you're going to spend 10 points on brutal, why wouldn't you just take the
you might want a different item, but still it's not one that I would probably want to put 10 points on. So
no.
Next we have Riverguard.
Well, with the extra attacks and the fact that they now get the leaper ability, which I actually really do like the leaper ability. They might now be your Pathfinder equivalent for an infantry unit. The fact that they fly, they're speed 7. I used them in the last tournament I played them, March of Death. I had a unit of them, and they worked to great effect. And if they had the additional ability to see over, that would have been quite nice. It really would have been.
I don't think they replaced Thule though. While they have the CS1, they still are melee 4 instead of melee 3.
Yeah.
And they don't have stealthy as a base. So
they do have the possibility of crush 1, which might end up hitting the extra attacks. Like we're talking about, a couple extra attacks for I think 3 in the regiment and 2 on the troop, which is nothing really to sneeze at, but at the same time, is it enough?
And I've used them before in troops quite successfully because people forget about them.
Yeah.
And I've won games with them because a Thule troop in the back is 30 attacks, which is nothing to sneeze about. Riverguard. But their weakness in my mind was always Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot. We're fish. Lightning Bolt is a big reason we don't want to go outside.
So, should it be Lightning Bolt or should it be Flames? So
I think the flames we put out. I think the Lightning Bolt is it's a little shock to your system.
So I guess I have Thule on the mind because they got a slight decrease in points, but they lost the formation. So overall, my heart is hurting a little at that.
We should probably just quickly touch on the fact that neither one of us, and we talked about this beforehand, neither one of us believes that the formation should have stayed. We both, I think, believe that it was a bit on the high side. Like it really ended when the Caterpillar went away, this became a huge upgrade for the army. It just seemed like a bit harsh to take so much away. Like something could have been added to the Thule or in the way of a Mythican or something like that with an aura or something. But
I agree. It was a double upgrade on the formation because you not only got the formation and they got Pathfinder as a result, but you got Thunderous Charge as well. So it upgraded 2 things. And I think had they moved the Mythican to give Aura Pathfinder, even if it was like plus 20 points, Aura Pathfinder for deep ones, that might have been too good because then Depth Horrors would get it. So you'd have to Celiopods because then the Kraken, which has Strider, would get Pathfinder as well. But whatever, that doesn't really make that much of a difference. And Thule. So I think you probably could have done that and it would have been okay. I don't know of any other unit that really has Aura Pathfinder. So it'd be kind of.
The salamander, is it the
Oh
salamander
yeah,
formation? Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
they so it's possible, but
but unique. So I think losing both hurts, and I
yeah,
think we're going to have to see how the Trident Realm armies adjust as a result.
yeah. My biggest letdown was the lack of Pathfinder. So that's the I know there are ways of getting it, but with a guy that played, you played a lot of speed and shooting. I played a lot of infantry. I found that the infantry was it made the infantry possible to play.
Mhm.
It made it so I didn't have to take a lot of things. Now I'm looking at what am I replacing that Pathfinder with. Anyway,
Placidorns, very
yeah,
simple.
yeah, yeah.
Like
They got that possible upgrade. You can put it on two where they become like Kingsguard. That gives them basically orb towering presence, which is nice. I'm not a big fan of these things. I never have been. I find them a little bit slow. I think you have to base an army around something that's moving at this sort of a speed. So it's not really for me. It's a nice extra thing, but it wasn't really something I would have even looked at.
and I think you could base an army around something that speed if you did Gigas and Placoderms and did an army designed around speed 5. That being said, my last comment was on how my speed 5 army kind of sucked, so I wouldn't want to do it again anytime soon.
Yeah, no, especially if you're taking something to do with a king, it would have been nice if we got a king model too. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Worm Riders, they got an increase in attacks.
Yes.
There was some discussion over making sure the Dam Busters and the Worm Riders were different.
Yeah.
I think that they're two very different units.
So
I think the Worm Riders being defense 4, being melee 3, going up to 20 attacks means that they're really your light cavalry unit. And the Dam Busters are really your heavy cavalry unit.
yeah,
Um,
especially with fly.
I absolutely love Nimble. I'm sad to see it go on the Dam Busters. I wish that they would have gotten melee 3 in return.
No, I'm okay with the way it is. I just wish they would have, as we go down, like something that would have given them something back for the regen. And I know the regen wasn't very good, but something back for what they would have gotten. I think that would have changed it enough.
You were thinking Iron Resolve.
Yes, and that was mostly because of their hero option. It has a possibility of getting it, which I found when I looked at that, I went, "That's really good." And I think maybe the frogs could have gotten the same sort of treatment. And I think just having it as an upgrade to gain or Iron Resolve might have been a nice little tweak. And I think at that point, whether they're melee 4 or melee 3, I don't think that really matters. I think they became a little more in a very tiny amount more sustainable and harder to kill because of the defense 5, because of the that those sorts of things.
And that would kind of tie them into the Coral Giant with Iron Resolve. So
yeah, that would have been a nice thing.
now the
Titles.
favorite upgrade.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. When I saw this, I smiled, and I rarely smile being English. Um, no, I'm not kidding. I rarely smile. No, the Tidal Swarms. I've always been a big fan of these things. I love playing this game with Barkskin. I think Tidal Swarms. I have around this area made people weep with the fact that they couldn't break these things. I've had siege breakers go into Tidal Swarms and roll just a couple of extra ones that they didn't want to be with Barkskin 5 going through. A piece of grass where they're -2 the hit, and oh crap, now we don't do anything. The fact that they get that little bit of a spray now. So the Nottigan, I think they're called Nottigan. The shooting version of the swarms have gone away. These now have a possibility to get a shooting attack. It's 6 attacks on the regiment, and it's 12 on the horde. I think this is a great extra thing. The fact that it's no longer a shambling unit with just those little bit of extra attacks, they're just going to be so much more annoying now. They're just going to make people hate me even more. I'm going to love this.
Well, I think that's exactly it. This is a unit that just got a little bit better for a few extra points. And like you and I were talking about before, if I could go around them to not have to deal with them, I would. But now, because you're getting 6 attacks, 2 hits, because you're hitting on 5s, you could do a plink wound every turn on me, which if you have, like you, 3 or 4 of these units, it could add up.
I've always loved them. I've always loved the fact of where I've positioned them. Now they get to do those little bit of shots. I don't always charge with them. I'll stick them in front of units and go, okay, hit me at -2, and now I get to give you a couple of extra shots on top of that. When I saw this, I'm like, beautiful. 5 points. I would have paid more, but I'm glad it's 5 points. I would have paid 10. I'll be damn honest. I really would have, but I'm so glad it's 5 points for the regiment. I
So,
think the
like,
horde is now viable too. I really do with the shots. I think they've made both options absolutely viable. I don't think you'll see them very often, but I think it's possible.
well, they have new models for them as well, so I'm
Even
glad.
that.
So then Leviathan's Bane, this is one of the ones where I was much happier about having used them. Before at 85 points, I thought that they were completely overcosted. Now at 70 points, I'm like, it's still more than what I want to spend for any artillery piece, but like it's well costed and on par with other units and other armies.
Being an elf player on the side and playing against a bunch of 3 bolt throwers that in the Kingdoms of Men army very recently, hitting on 4s is always good. I'm not a big fan of these things, mostly because of the enthrall. I think there's never a good time to pull anything closer to you unless it's your woman. Other than that, it's not one of the things that I really want to do. Maybe in my army because there's going to be a lot of ensnare, maybe not. But I mean, solid. But this is where we differ, which is
Yeah.
why I thought it was great that we had a chance to talk about these things.
What is it? Great minds rarely think alike, and fools seldom differ.
That's right.
We might be great minds.
Hey, we might be fools.
The Greater Water Elemental is one where I don't think either of us have used it.
I have a lot. I actually really have.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I find this a great anvil. I've used it a few times. Normally without surge, I normally will just stick it out, and people are, oh, you don't have surge. I don't have to worry about it, and then it'll find a flank, or it'll find something else, or it'll stand in front of something and just be around. I was so excited when I saw Radiance of Life, and then I saw Naiads only, and I kind of fell apart. I was really hoping that it would either do itself as well, which I'm not sure on if it does or not. I could be wrong. I don't think it does.
No.
But if it had done water elementals and naiads, I think now you have a build going with just this one piece that makes it a little more dynamic. And as much as I love this model, and 180 points, I've used it instead of a giant and used it very well. But I don't see it. I it's
I
that
wish it
little bit
was
extra.
generic Radiance of Life. Like if
Yes,
it was, that would have been awesome.
yes,
That one may have been too good. They could have charged like 15 points and said, or limited to one unit, saying generic Radiance of Life for 10 or 15 points.
right. Yeah, 20 points I would have paid for. So depth horrors with radiance, depth horrors with heal. I have still tried to get heal in this army because I think heal in this army would be heal and barkskin. Can you imagine what a combination? But yeah, no, they are. I'm a big fan of this model. I'm a big fan of this greater elemental. I it's not going to stop me from using it.
Okay, we're continuing.
All right.
So, Kraken.
Do you have 25 minutes?
Oh, do not have
I know you don't. All right, let's do the Coles notes. I'll be bad cop. I was really hoping that the Kraken would get a few different changes. I've always thought that the Kraken was overcosted. I preferred Rampage to it's now Slayer. Um,
That's
And I
because you're
found,
bad cop.
yeah, that's because I'm bad cop. And I found that as much as yes, you get um, inspiring as well as the Thunder's Charge aura, I just don't see 250 points here. Sorry, 255 points here. I just think it's a little overcosted. I understand why, but every time I played against the Kraken, they normally don't get across the table with against me. I'll shoot them, I'll waver them, I'll keep them back, I'll wind blast them, I'll keep them away. Sure, it's a 75 base. I just no, not for me.
I think you and I agreed if the Kraken had been 225 points with the 15-point upgrade,
Yeah,
it would have been like, yeah, one Kraken, two Kraken, still a bit more than the Coral Giant, but it's different. I wanted. I'm a huge fan of old movies. I wanted to see the Kraken with like Slayer 6, so that if it hit, because I'm a huge fan of Slayer, like hell with Rampage. I have enough stuff in the Trident Realm army that can deal with pesky infantry. I want something that deals with the monster. So I wanted like Slayer 6, such that I could like yell, release the Kraken when I hit something with it. But
I I like you wanted to play with two of these. I was so hoping. No, the Terror and the Kraken are basically the exact same thing because even their lore in their story say that they are. The fact that it doesn't have stealth, it could have gone for like a few extra points less. It just,
I
I,
have 3 of these. I've never used. I haven't even built one of them. Like,
oh,
oh,
I know, I want them, I really do, but oh, all right. I know we're going down to
we're going to the quicker ones. Riverguard Sentinel got the Vicious Aura. If you can combine it with the Tree Leapers, I think there's a build there. Um,
amphibians all over the place. Sure, I can see this happening. I
Everything jumping 7 speed, it would be a painful army to fight against. I think it's a doable build. I just need a bit more time to think of how I'd build it.
I wonder how you get enough crushing in the army. Yes, sure, you have the dam busters, but again, this is not a game where hitting on floors is one of those things that has to happen anymore.
Uh,
I mean,
Actually, speaking of the
it
Dam
should be.
Buster, we liked the Pond Warden upgrade.
Yes, I really did. I found it absolutely fantastically. I thought just the Iron Resolve, looking at that, getting the +1 to the Waver and the Nerve, um, I thought it was a great upgrade. I think it's a that between uh, the Worm Rider Sentinel and the Dam Buster Sentinel, um, the difference between the two, you can see the difference. It's right in front of you, and the upgrade bringing it closer in points, but still not making it just as well. It really gave you some options there.
Siren, I get to be the bad cop. You get to be the good cop. You get 4 spells. I wish they kept the enthrall with 24 inches. I wish they had given the enthrall the ability to do damage or Cloak of Death on the Siren. I I think the Siren's good. I don't think the Siren is necessarily competitive. Like I think Hex is good. I think Weakness is good. I think you can always find 2 spells that you want to use, but it doesn't have Inspiring, and it's still 100 points.
Yeah, and the fact that I'll go a little bit more on the backup side. The fact that the weakness doesn't do damage, I've heard somewhere that's good. I'm not entirely sure on where that happens. I think there's a couple of armies that do it, one more than another, but
Well,
I
I think Weakness causing damage is too much. I think if they had kept Enthrall causing the damage, because like you said, do you really want to enthrall somebody? It's always a questionable. But if you're causing
yeah.
damage, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I was of the opinion, and I know people that know me have heard this before, but we had gone on about this with the Sentinel. I'm not a big fan of the Trident. I think the Siren should have got back the ability that if she does her enthrall spell, that she enthralls somebody and disorders them. I think that would have done something a little bit better because right now it's 3 spells. Do you like? I'm not the guy that wants to pull you closer. Like I I like
And
the
the
points.
pull closer, if you don't have the ability to get a first turn pull, so I need an enthrall with 24 inches, it's not really super useful. And you need that pull on the first turn to allow your heart piercers to be able to shoot. Because
Yeah.
otherwise your heart piercers have no ability to shoot on the first turn.
And I completely get the fact that this is one of the few armies that has Enthrall and Surge, and I know that is that could be a powerful thing, but I don't see anybody making a build that's gonna.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody's out there just waiting to pounce on everybody, and it's like I'll enthrall you in, and it's there's too many possibilities of making it good, bad, ugly, whatever. I just think the Trident should have gone away. I think the Siren should have got it, and we would see the Centurion still has a place. It can stand up to a lot of things by itself with Death 5 and Regen 4 and Ensnare. And the Siren now has a niche. And she would be able to figure out one way or another. Sorry, you'd be able to figure out one way or another if she works in your army now.
Well,
And
speaking of Trident King, I think
yeah,
this is one of the ones where we both went like, overall changes. Hitting on threes is good. A bit more consistent than hitting on fours. Averages out to the same number of hits, but it feels better. So I'm a fan of it. Slightly more hits.
I was
But
in the same opinion as you. Yeah.
I think our wish list was we wish we would have, because Mantic doesn't produce a model for the Trident King. If they had said, here's your Trident King, you get three options. Option one, have him on a chariot, do whatever. Option two, put him onto a frog. He's the amphibian version of the king. He gives this aura to the amphibians. And version number three is you put him on a worm rider and he gives this benefit to the naiads. And I think you could have run three different versions of the Trident King because he's supposed to have three aspects, each one giving a unique advantage in aura. And then that way, Mantic would have had a model for him in each of those instances.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think we both said the exact same thing about this. I mean, if it had a model, I think you had mentioned that he could have had the auras. It makes more sense for him to have a wall charge aura than it does, the Aquamage. Like he
Or
could
the
have,
Thunderous Charge one, yeah. Like
yeah,
any of the auras would be great, but
and yeah, and then you would be able to figure out. I want to play my army this way. I want the Thunderous Charge, so I need to play more Thule and Depth auras, or I want to play with the wild charge, so I play with more amphibians and all the rest. So one it becomes a faster army, one becomes a harder hitting army, and then we have ways of going down this. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it unfortunately is what it is. So
uh, so there are new units. I don't think at this point in time either of us are super impressed. Like, and that's probably exceptionally harsh. We're not sure how Tree Leaper Dam Busters are
right,
going to be used. Somebody will figure it out.
yeah,
We'll then look at this and go, we were wrong. Like, clearly, it's a great unit, obviously, but at this point in time, we don't see how it's going to be used.
no. The formation is a hard one to swallow.
You and I were split on the Herbalist because I think it's pretty good, but like you
I
said,
think,
it's
yeah.
dealing with Knuckers and Krakens and
Greater water
greater.
elementals and giants and all these big things that it kind of takes the spot of. And where do you need it? Are you going down that much of a shooting army? Do you need that range attack? Do you need
I
to?
neither of us see that. So
No, which is too bad because I really do like the look of these models. Do look really damn nice, and part of me just wants to buy the damn box set, and that's not me, you know, sucking up the Mantic in any way, shape, or form. I'm I like models because I like models, and if anybody ever sees my Trident Realm army, you'll see what I mean. Like it's not exactly the best looking thing on the planet. Soon maybe, but at the moment, it's Wrath of King stuff. I love that stuff, so it's what I play because it's what I play. But this I might start getting into this, but I need to make it work first. That's my only drawback to this.
and neither of us like the formation's good, and I think it'd be great in ambush games.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
in low point games. If you're talking like 1,500 point games, I think that formation is absolutely great because the +1 nerve comes to impact the stealthy aura. You could build a frog army, 1,500 points, pretty easy, lots of synergy. Go nuts.
Yeah. In ambush, I think. this army is in that box set. It's just going to be it can be great. Like there is not another word for it. Like it's got everything you need, and like you said, small points, fantastic. Does everything you want it to do.
I'm not sure how it scales. So, like I
Yeah,
said, this is our initial thoughts. Um, we are happy to be proven wrong when people say, "Hey, look, all these changes have been great, and I'm making it work," because then I can copy you, and then Ben can copy you because he has all the models.
damn right. And I'm more than happy to copy a good army and make it my own.
So Luke, that's our challenge to you. Try to figure out some way to use the formation, the arbalists, so that we can copy you as fellow Canadians,
That's right, mate. Help a couple of Canadians out. That's
or help a bunch of Commonwealth members out. Since
let's go with that. Why not?
so, I guess we've been at this for 30 minutes. Final
Well,
concerns on my end is I'm not sure how this army deals with defense six.
yeah,
Looking through even Luke's run at Masters, I think he avoided the dwarf counter
yeah.
matchup uh, on his run. Um, and I'm not sure if Trident Realms got better at dealing with a defense six dwarf army.
No, I think they got a little bit worse without the Thunderous Charge aura, without that um, without that Pathfinder being able to get in and hit on threes. It made a big difference. I normally run two Bane Chants. I'm having trouble trying to figure out how or do I just go back to the same units the way that it was and try it out and try and figure it out. I'm having I was hoping to find a direction, and at the moment I seem to be scattered, which is a little bit harsh. I'm sure somebody out there is going to find something and it's going to work just fine. For me, it's all in the Pathfinder. I was really hoping for more Pathfinder. And yes, the frogs are the things that have all of this sort of stuff. I just have to find units that work for me.
But I think this is a good counter to where they say that Mantic or Mantic may be producing models and then making the rules to say, hey, look, buy our models. Like this
Yeah,
army is still a tough army to use. It's a tough army to design and it's a tough army to play. And I didn't see anything in this update that said, hey, look, this army is going to be easy mode, just buy these things.
yeah. And remember this, as we keep mentioning him. I mean, Luke won the Masters. Like it,
It can be done.
it can be done. There's a reason why I've spent most of my time playing this army. I love this army. I will continue to play this army. Am I dumping on it a little bit? Sure, but that's because I'm a gamer and I like the min max shit. And well, I'm English, and we hate everything. So I mean, it is what it is. And is it going to stop me from buying some? No, these frogs look amazing. Like I'm probably going to pick up this box myself. I will figure this out. It's not the first time I've had to strip my army down and build it back up again, and I will do it again, and I will continue to. And yeah, you'll see me at Masters, and you can yell at me if you're on the RC, and you can tell me what a dick I am.
No one's going to do that. They're way too
I
nice.
hope they'd be right. Like let's be honest here. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, you are, but they wouldn't do that to you.
so yeah, uh, I wish a few things, but unfortunately, we didn't get them. So now we got to make this. Nobody's going to get everything that they
And,
want out of life. So
and I don't think that this is a weak army.
no,
I don't think it's top tier, so it's not top shelf, but it's not like gutter level either. It's a solid mid level army.
and you know what the best part about winning with a mid-level army is you
You
get to
won with
stick
a
at
yeah,
yeah, you get to stick at the people and go, I'm still better. I
because
did it with this.
no
Oh
one has come out and said, "Hey, look, I'm copying Luke's army to win in tournaments after he won."
no,
Everyone looked at it was like, yeah.
I'll be honest. You play with placoderms. I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. I can't get the damn things to work. Yeah. So more power to him that he got it to go. And yeah, it's you and I have played a lot of games with this stuff. We looked at it and we were like, well, I guess and I know we're probably there's gonna be a whole bunch of messages and talks back and forth. We'll find something.
Well, we will find something in some way to make it work again. But
And we'll do it with the models in this lovely box set that everybody should pick up.
I will definitely be picking up the plastic frogs because I don't have the plastic frogs. I have the metal frogs, and the plastic frogs look better.
Yes, they do. And
Cold
we'll be
giants.
getting plastic. Yeah, the cold giant. Yep. And a couple of depth horrors, and a whole bunch of stuff that is in there that can be used for a whole bunch of the rest of your Mantic armies as well.
Absolutely. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Ben, and thanks a lot to everyone who made it this far.
All right. Good night.